program director is a professional who is responsible for researching, planning, and implementing an organization programs. They initiate goals based on the strategic objectives of their employer and allocate resources necessary to achieve those plans from start to finish, including identifying processes and deadlines. I, Shaurya, on behalf of the Ladder podcast channel, welcome you all to this episode in series of interviews. Before we begin the interview, let's have a look at glimpse of purpose and motto of our podcast channel.
Confusion is inevitable state of mind in all stages of life, be it the education, selection of life partner, or the job. More the options, more is the confusion. Despite being the exceptional military leaders, when it comes to transitioning from boots to suits, we again encounter the same confusion. Which job profile to select, what certification needs to be done, and where do we start are all questions that haunt the mind. We at the Ladder bridge this gap of unknown queries by interviewing veterans who are already well settled after their transition. We bring you their valuable experience and share guidance so that you all are benefited. Following the motto of once a soldier, always a soldier, we're here to fill that gap of mentoring and guidance so that bonhomie of armed forces fraternity remains intact.
Okay, today's panelist is Head DSGS Program Directorate at Dassault Systems, Sqn Ldr Supriya Bhosale, Air Force veteran with 10 years of experience and background of mechanical engineering as well as specialization in aeronautical engineering. She has the distinction of being first among the few women officers to be trained on Russian fighter and European trainer aircraft streams. She enjoys traveling and takes interest in La Foundation initiatives in the company. A word about Dassault System. It's a 3D experience company acting as a catalyst for human progress. By creating virtual twin experiences of real world with their 3D platform and applications, they push the boundaries of innovation and learning to a next level of production. Good evening, ma'am. I welcome you to the channel, and it gives me an immense pleasure to interview technocrat like you.
Good evening, Shaurya. Thank you for the introduction.
Ma'am, please tell, being a mechanical engineer, why did you join the Air Force?
Shaurya, being a mechanical engineer itself was a challenge for me when I did my engineering. Because back then there were very few girls who used to get into mechanical engineering. So there were very few in my class. And after that, as the trend goes, I also sat for placements and, got into two very good MNCs in the core. And another thing that happened to me was Air Force selection. So Air Force was something that was definitely unique. And I did not have anyone from forces in my family or any nearby in any relatives. So this was something which was really fascinating. So it was not very planned, but yes, because it was fascinating and being a mechanical engineer, I thought being into aircraft and actually working in that technologically very intense domain, I thought I will, I decided to join Air Force then. So that's how I came into Air Force.
Great. Ma'am, do you have any work experience before joining the Air Force?
No, Shaurya. It was right after my engineering, or rather in the last semester of engineering, where we had an option of getting into EKT. So I appeared for EKT and then the SSB. So that's how I came into Air Force. And I did not go in for any other job right after the engineering. It was engineering and then Air Force.
And how did Air Force help you to build your profile?
So, Shaurya, if you talk about Air Force, we all know that it is technologically intensive force. Me being into an AEM branch, I got an opportunity to be a part of aeronautical engineering stream. Uh, got an opportunity to go through the intense course in aeronautical engineering. That was a post graduation course, and thereafter I was selected for the fighter stream of fighter aircraft stream of Indian Air Force, one of the Russian fleets. And then I got posted after the intense training on service subjects, and uh, also the physical fitness and mental health, all those trainings we all are aware. So when I went through all those things, I was posted to one of the very prestigious establishments of Indian Air Force. And there I worked with a very senior echelons of Indian Air Force. So there I understood what is it that we are doing, what is Air Force doing. So I got a holistic picture of what Air Force was doing, what is the business that we are into, what is the purpose of me being there, and how am I going to contribute, or in what way I am relevant to the Air Force or to the organization. So there I learned a lot of things, right from being fit to commanding 200 plus men who had come from all the states of India. So it was a diverse and multifunctional team, I must say, and the environment was very uh, risky. Definitely, we had to get into a lot of uh, emergencies day in day out. So there I felt I got, when I reflect back, I understand that yes, that was the place where I got my leadership skills, my technical skills, and understanding behavioral aspects of huge force or huge teams. So 200 plus team is not an easy task to manage, and we all know, we all have gone through it. So it was same for me when it came to managing people, and the technology that the Air Force taught me, that was tremendous. So there were multiple skills that I acquired while I was in my first establishment. And thereafter, when I moved into another fleet and another unit altogether, which was a tri-services base, there it was a different ball game altogether. There I got into instructional duties. I interacted with a lot of academicians within Air Force and also outside Air Force, civilians, and also international organizations and vendors. So it was not only for the training, but uh, also for the fleet, which was not in a very good shape. So for that fleet, I understood the nuances of international vendors, how to manage them. I got an exposure to meet global people along with the higher ups in the organization. And that's how I feel I got those additional skills that we call in corporate, where it comes to people say, or these are the terms used in corporate, that you understand the language to communicate with higher management. So these are some skills that I acquired in Air Force, and that's how Air Force helped me build my profile, is what I feel.
Great, ma'am. Any specific skills that you have built during your Air Force service?
Yes, definitely. So, as I already covered, these were the skills, whatever I covered just in the last question of yours. Additionally, specifically academics, I mean, getting back to academics was something that my seniors told me to do. So I did my long courses like MTech in manufacturing or the leadership courses for which I was nominated. I think those were the additional things that I could acquire. So, and additionally, implementing whatever I learned in those long courses in the field. So that was something which was done additionally, is what I feel. And negotiation skills, risk management, these are some very categorically defined skills in forces that I could acquire while I was into Air Force.
Okay. And how well you were prepared to switch from military to corporate?
So if you ask me, Shaurya, it was mine was a short service commission. And probably in 8th or 9th year, we all start thinking about what is it that we want to do. And I was doing the same. And I was not very clear about what should be the path. So one thing that the seniors told, or our course mates, we were thinking of doing is understanding how we are relevant in the outside world. So whether to go out or not was not something that I thought in the first place, but how relevant it could be if I go out now after 10 years. So that was something that we zeroed down on. Not only me, there were few of my course mates who did the same thing, and they are doing really well now. So it was a very tough decision if you ask me, because I was doing very good in Air Force. Air Force was giving me beautiful exposure, and that's how I was not very sure if I should move out right after 10 years or should I still stay. So, but these thoughts I kept aside a little, and I started preparing for my exit, because somewhere at the back of the mind I felt I should take on some different challenges as well, which I felt I can get in if I'm a civilian. I mean, if I move out of Air Force, like for example, business exposure or exposure to the CSR activities. We all are doing a lot of things while we are in forces, but at org level. But at personal level, I think now I am doing many more things than I did in Air Force. So for all those things, I felt I should be prepared. So I started interacting with people. I started networking with people. So it was not only Air Force or veterans, for that matter, Army, Navy veterans. I also started with I also started interacting with civilians, which were corporate leaders and into executive positions. And then I understood, oh, this is something different, and I would surely like to explore that. So mapping my skills was something that I did for sure. So this was something that I prepared in last year, I must say. And it was COVID time. So it was another ball game altogether. We were not very sure about how things will move uh, outside, because we had very less visibility. So interacting with people helped for sure. And being connected with people on LinkedIn in last few months really did wonders for the entire batch of ours. So this is how we prepare to exit from Air Force.
And with a military aviation background, why did you prefer the corporate against government jobs, ma'am?
Okay, this is a very common question that everybody asks me. Uh, Military aviation is only one part, or maybe a very small subset of what we acquire in armed forces, right? So that is niche for sure. That is my expertise. Along with that, in Air Force, I learned a lot of things. And fortunately for all of us, it is true that we can enter into many domains. Okay. Because we have that kind of exposure right from the beginning in armed forces. So for me in Indian Air Force, the moment we join, we are leaders, right? So we join as flying officers, and the same is with Army and Navy, right? And we command people from the very first day when we are posted to units. So while we are doing all those things, the organization exposes us to a lot of things, lot of skills. So as I mentioned, risk management, uh, negotiation skills, or interacting with international vendors, understanding international business, um, commanding people, understanding behavioral aspects of such a diverse uh, team, right? And those teams keep changing. We are very accommodative when it comes to movements, right? We are always ready to relocate as required. We are always ready to travel, right? So all these things are very relevant when it comes to any industry, not only corporate. So choice, I had multiple options while I left Indian Air Force. I did not think of or I did not zero it down to corporate only. But yes, while I had those many options, I felt Dassault was something more relevant for me, because it was giving me a similar exposure and more challenges. And my experience in aviation is also being utilized. So despite me being into corporate or into, you can say, IT industry, my experience is still relevant. So initially, I was not very sure about it, but today I'm confident that yes, it is relevant. So, I mean, it's a right thing, or maybe the right decision that I took at that time.
Amazing. What are the upskills done during your transition, ma'am?
Okay. So, very important is the long course, any long course, 1 year or 2 years. So, while I did not plan it, I did it for Air Force, my MTech in manufacturing, because I was into aeronautical engineering field already. So long course always, any long course always helps. That is one. Secondly, certifications, or probably if you have already zeroed down on what you are going to do, I think it is good to go for certifications. Or else the other option is you go in for certifications after you join any of the organizations. So we can get into those certifications whichever are relevant for us. So there's no point in getting into too many certifications and ending up nowhere. So that also happens. So I did not do many certifications, but I, yes, did my Six Sigma green belt and black belt, because that is something relevant for our background. That is one. And secondly, if you ask me about real upskilling, it is mapping my skills with civilian domains. So whatever I had done in past 10 years in Air Force, I tried searching for those keywords on open source. And I started actually mapping those skills to civilian domain. That upskilling is something that is what I feel is very important, and that helped me understand the language of the civilian world and make them understand. While I was into those interviews, I could make people understand what I have done and how it is relevant to their organization and what value I can bring to the table. So that upskilling is very important over any courses or any uh, certifications is what I feel. That is something that I did.
Okay, ma'am. Any external assistance taken for resume or profile building along with the job consultation?
No, I did not, because I mean, there were a lot of people who approached me, who offered me their services. Somehow, personally, I was not very convinced with with their models, so I did not go in for those. The very important thing that I did was, this was told to me by one of the uh, corporate leaders of one of the good organizations. He told me, whatever you have done, you just write it down. I did that. I wrote everything. Okay. And the resume was 6 pages. My first resume was of 6 pages. And then he told me to declutter it. And he told me to get it to 1 page. So I said, with your experience, you should be able to write only what is relevant, only what is extremely important. And he told me to get it to 1 page. And believe you me, it made wonders. You need help, or any one of us, they need help in writing resume only when they don't do it themselves. When we do it ourselves, believe you me, nobody else can write our resume better than ourselves. So that is something that we did. So it was me and my better half. We sat, we discussed, and we wrote the resume. So it was it was a personal effort completely. And about job consultation, let me tell you, there's so much available on LinkedIn, there's so much available on Glassdoor. Unless you are very unaware of things, I don't think we need any specific or special paid consultation. There are a lot of things available on open source YouTube. We can just see how we are, once we map our skills to those civilian domains, I think it becomes very easy. So that initial homework and speaking to people helps, and it makes big wonders. And let me tell you, a lot of people outside are very open, and they're very eager to help others. Mentoring is something that is done not only in forces but also outside, very enthusiastically. And we as veterans, we get a lot of help from a lot of civilian people who are already in those beautiful who are handling those portfolios, and they are into those positions. So I don't think it is very essential to get into any paid consultation or resume writing or any specific courses to map your skills. I think if we do our homework better, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. And how important is this first interview and the salary negotiation?
Extremely important, I must say. So it is not only important, but I would say choosing your interviews or choosing your profiles when you see the job description. try and understand what is the job description. Many of the roles, I mean, when it comes to senior roles, you might not get clear job description, right? So it is always good to speak to whoever is contacting you from the talent acquisition team and the hiring manager. So I feel more than that interview, more before even getting into the interview, it is good to do that homework, understand what is it that they are looking for, and then tweak your resume accordingly. So you can't rely on one resume. One could be the generic resume, and another could be your resume which highlights your core or maybe niche. So that is something very important. And when it comes to interview, the only that is one way, or only possible way, that you can convey who you are, what you can bring to the organization, to those people who are interviewing you. So I would say the resume and resume followed by interview. These are two very important steps, and these are the only ways of them understanding who you are, because there is no other way. And the third thing, which is very important, is your LinkedIn profile. So once you're out of Air Force or maybe any armed forces, once you're out of service, I think it is very essential that you have your LinkedIn profile built, a nice LinkedIn profile where you highlight all your qualifications and your expertise in brief. That gives a confidence to any hiring person, because now I'm into those shoes, I'm hiring people. I go and check LinkedIn profile quickly because the link is available in the resume. So that is an important step again. So all three steps, like resume writing, your LinkedIn profile, and interview, all these three things are important when it comes to your selection in the for any of the jobs. That is one. And secondly, the negotiations. So 30% or 50% or whatever percent, those things are fine, but you need to decide what is it that you need to settle at. So salary negotiation is only essential when you fail in first three steps, is what I feel. Salary negotiations are generally not required when it comes to following first three steps correctly. If you are conveying what you have done to the panelists, to the interviewers, very rightly, in correct words, with those many examples, I think they all are aware of where to fit you into. In case if that doesn't happen, then you might like to reconsider it, ask for another conversation altogether with the HR, and then discuss about salary if you're not satisfied. But that should be done very consciously if required. Okay. Otherwise, if you are following first three steps categorically, if your resume is perfect, if your interview goes fine, I think salary part is taken care by the hiring people automatically. Okay. But yes, the first launchpad is extremely important because that will decide your further journey.
Please tell us about your present role in the company, ma'am.
I'm working with Dassault Systemes Global Services, the services part of Dassault Systems. So it's a services hub in India, and we support the onshore teams from this place. And currently, I'm handling program directorate function along with quality. So both these functions are with me. and leading the direct CSR activities for the organization. So when it comes to program directorate, we are involved in overall monitoring of the projects, whatever is going through, or maybe all the services projects which are given to Dassault Systems Global Services are being monitored by this function. That is one. So governance is something that we are into. And additionally, the correct assignment of correct project managers on those assignments or correct projects as required. Hiring of new project managers for different GOs and departments is with me. So we are involved in a lot of things when it comes to project management. So skill building or skill improvement of project managers, senior project managers, and project governance along with quality is something that I'm handling currently and working directly with the CEO of Dassault Systems Global Services. That's how it is.
And how important is networking while transitioning for any officers, ma'am?
Yeah, so as I already mentioned about this, Shaurya, networking is very important. Not only, we all see networking is important even in forces, right? For different missions that we carry out. So while transitioning or even after the transition, networking is very essential. That is one. Secondly, networking can be done on different forums, okay, and through different tools. So LinkedIn is one place I feel we should focus upon. It's a very powerful tool. Creating the profile and interacting with people, connecting with people through LinkedIn is very essential. It gives different perspectives of different industries, and people also start knowing you. So job referrals, I mean, it helps in referrals also. So not every organization has veteran hiring as a program. Okay, there are very few organizations who do that. And currently, a lot of organizations are getting into veteran hiring as experiments. So networking is very important and it helps a lot when it comes to transition. Even after transition, I think understanding your job well, for the understanding of your organization well, I think it is important to network even within the organization after you transition. So getting into a correct job once you get the job description, I think it is always good to discuss it with people, not only from the forces, but also, I mean, veterans, but also from the civilian background. So people who are already into similar roles, they can give you very good insights, and you can actually see if that particular job role or profile is relevant for you or not. Because a lot of times it happens that you feel this is a very beautiful profile, but sometimes it is not, and vis-a-vis, right? Sometimes we feel because of I won't say unawareness, but because we do not know those terms, it happens that I have seen some people who left those opportunities just because of some wrong assumptions. So it is network. So networking helps. If you know those people already, if they know you, and if you discuss with them what is relevant, I think you can really get good insights. I think networking is very important.
And was your MTech degree in manufacturing useful in your first interview?
Yes, in all interviews it was helpful. So I I was interviewed. I mean, I was approached by multiple organizations, out of which I chose 3, and I cleared all the interviews. So my experience is my MTech degree, and that's how, I mean, from my experience itself, I'm saying this, that long courses help. Certifications are short term, but if you have done long courses, they are more relevant and they carry huge value in your profile. So one must go in for long courses, and my MTech degree surely helped. I can tell you a very beautiful example, or maybe a very beautiful thing that happened to me just last week. I did my MTech from BITS, the WILP, Work Integrated Learning Program, and I was invited as a speaker in the BITS Global Meet that happened last week. And let me tell you the amount of exposure that I received. Okay, and I got, that was beyond imagination. And you can get alumni status of any good institution only if you undergo the long courses, not through the certifications. So I think the additional benefits of these courses are lifelong. It's not that you undergo those courses and they're over. No, it stays with you even after many years. And in that particular connect, I'll tell you, I got to interact with a lot of people from across the world who are doing really well, not only professionally but also personally. They are into different startups, they're angel investors, they're mentoring people, they're mentoring new entrepreneurs. And I also got a chance of being one amongst them. So new doors were opened. I was exposed to lot many things. And that happened only because I did my MTech. So it was not only the interviews wherein my MTech degree helped, but I think it is beyond that.
And tell us about your Rotax engine certification that you have done, ma'am.
Yeah, so Rotax engine certification was done while I was in Air Force, and I was serving at NDA. And there I was handling one of the European fleets. And for that, we used Rotax engine. So that was something which was given by the OEM. Another global experience, I must say. I could understand what is done by these giant companies or giant organizations when it comes to aviation engines. So Rotax is not only into aviation engines, but it is also into automotive engines. So it was a beautiful experience again that Air Force extended. And these OEM certifications, as we all know, they help. They give us different perspectives. It's a different exposure altogether, right? So it helped in my interviews, and while I'm currently working, I'm interacting with a lot of European people, and that exposure more than the certification is relevant now.
Ma'am, how your military aviation experience was relevant in this corporate job?
Yeah, so when I was approached by a few more organizations for interviews, I zeroed down to 3. One was into e-commerce, another was into banking, and this was and Dassault, which I finally thought of joining or decided to join, was the third. I cleared all 3 interviews of all 3 organizations, And while I'm currently working in Dassault, I mean, the selection of Dassault was based on my previous experience. Because as you would have seen on their website, they're not only into aviation, but into many other domains. So this was one thing that I felt, I would be able to contribute to, and my previous experience would be helpful. So this was my initial thought, let me tell you, that my military aviation, I would be able to map it to the aerospace and defense sector of Dassault Systems. But to my surprise, the exposure that I am getting here is to different fields. And aviation is such a field wherein anything and everything is applicable. So any revolution you see, whether it is industrial revolution or now whatever is happening, whether it is AI, machine learning, or any new technology, anything is applicable in aviation, and we go through many of those things already. So that particular experience is helpful for me here when I am handling not only those aviation related projects, but also automotive or different industry projects. So I feel aviation industry is a very holistic industry wherein many technologies are applicable, and that's how it is relevant in this industry also now, which I initially did not think, but now I see the applications here. So it really helped. So irrespective of where you are entering, which domain you are working in, I think our experience in armed forces is very vast, and we can apply those things in any industry outside. It's just that we have to map our skills to those industry and domains.
Okay, ma'am. As per your experience, how important is pursuing the MBA, whether it is an executive or a diploma kind or a full-time one, and what would be the best option for a transitioning officer?
Yeah, so as I said, if you are undergoing any long course, whether it is MBA, any leadership course, or any niche kind of a thing through MTech, right? Because if we are engineers, I think MTech is very relevant. But if you do not have an engineering degree and you have done some other graduation, I think MBA is very relevant. Okay, even for engineers, no doubts. So whatever it is, whether it is distance or regular, while you are into service, you can't do a regular one. So you might like to go in for a distance learning program. I think with 10 years of experience, any long course is relevant, irrespective of what is the mode. Because after COVID, dynamics have changed. A lot of international organizations, institutes, or for that matter, even IIMs, they have started many online courses. Okay, because this is a new norm. It's not that they're valued less anymore. So MBA is very relevant to understand the business aspects of many industries outside. So I think if you have a chance and if you can pursue MBA, must go for it. No two thoughts about it.
Okay, ma'am. Does the background of arm oblique services with a technical and non-technical entry level really matter while choosing a new job?
Yes, definitely. Because not every technical person would like to go into a different domain. They might like to be into the technical domain itself. So, as I said, the resume that you would be writing and the jobs that you would be seeking or the profiles that you would be shortlisting, if they are relevant to your past experience, I think you can do wonders even outside. I have seen some examples wherein people get into the jobs or maybe high paying jobs, but they're not satisfied because the work that they are doing is not something that they enjoy. Initially, as I said, people struggle in mapping the skills to those profiles, and that's the reason these things happen. But I think whatever we have done in armed forces, in any branch for that matter, similar profiles are available outside in different industries. So it is very important that we map our skills to those profiles. Okay. And earlier, what used to happen is they used to, even the outside people or the talent acquisition managers or talent acquisition teams, they used to bucket all veterans, or maybe they used to consider all veterans as same, with same skill sets. But that's not true anymore. We are highly we are working in highly technologically intense domains, even if we are not from engineering background. So all our forces or all our branches now are technologically advanced. That is one. That is something that people are not aware outside. People who are, or officers who are working in different branches like accounts or admin or logistics, they have very relevant profiles outside and they can get into those. But yes, getting into a wrong profile or wrong job and then realizing it and then switching, I think that can be avoided very easily if we do our homework well. So our branches, they do matter. Okay. The only thing is you will have to map the skills very categorically and consciously, and choose those profiles or jobs consciously.
And what do you miss most from your uniform life, ma'am?
The uniform, definitely. The uniform, the discipline, the cohesive environment that we all have in armed forces, the involvement of families in a lot of things is something that I surely miss.
Any last word of advice for the transitioning officers, ma'am?
Not advice, but a suggestion, a genuine suggestion. One is, do not be insecure. It is very natural to be insecure while we are transitioning, and that is only for one reason, only because of one reason. We don't take efforts in understanding the other side of the fence. So doing that homework will surely help. Mapping skills, I have iterated it many times in the conversation now, but it is extremely essential. Connecting with people beforehand, understanding their profiles, understanding who's doing what, how it is relevant for you, and then choosing the right path and the right launch pad is extremely essential. So please do that homework is something that I would suggest. Another thing is, while we are writing our resume, in getting into the interviews, please remember that these are the only two ways of you making people understand who you are. So one very important thing that we need to understand is, we might be extremely good in whatever we have done, but communicating it in right words and in that right language is very essential. So we need to do that homework of understanding their language, because we could have gone on Mars probably, or we could have flown fighter aircraft, but they would be fascinated about those things. They would say, oh, very nice, but how it is relevant for them, what value you're going to bring to their organization, is something that is categorically we need to understand, and then we need to put it on paper. And also in the interviews we need to communicate those things very clearly. There's a very specific reason that I'm saying this for. Outside the armed forces, organizations spend a lot on training people in leadership skills, training people in behavioral skills, people management. So all these three things, which are extremely important in all industries, we already have those. So putting those in right way is very important, and not settling for something that you do not deserve is another important thing that I feel we all need to understand. So over personal commitments, I think we need to choose the right launch pad while transitioning. So these are some things that I would like to suggest and sum this up with.
Well, thank you so much for your valuable time, ma'am. It was a pleasure interacting with you, and I am sure all the transitioning officers will be benefited out of your views, as well as you have really brought out a good point regarding the corporate world, that all the veterans are not common in terms of talent or the capabilities, and I'm sure it will be a good insight for them as well. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, and Shaurya, through this, I mean, I would be very interested and always available for any further, guidance or any further interaction. If anyone feels, can reach out to me anytime. I'm available.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And thanks for the time that you have given, and thanks for this initiative. It is much needed, I must say.
Pleasure, ma'am. Pleasure. Thank you.